Yeah, I like this thing. I like these two. Put me some egg rolls, start the morning. If I sound tired, it's because I just flexed around on that bike a little bit. Sergio brought this thing up here and it's super fun to ride around. It's super light. We got this huge trail in the back. So we've been ripping it up. But camera died the other day, so I didn't really get to show you some of the stuff that we got done. But this is today's task. This is our old harness. Now this has a lot of stuff on it, like this is for the coolant temp gauge. MAF sensor, don't need that anymore. There's some stuff that like went to the old fuse box that's not there anymore. So a lot of this can be trimmed away. Really, I only need these 3 plugs, but a lot of it can go. So I'm gonna take off all the loom. So like get rid of the tape, peel the loom back, expose just wiring. And then I have a list of all the sensors and stuff that I need. Basic stuff, everything from throttle position to like boost control that I want on this harness, which is, I mean, despite what it might look like, significantly simpler than what the factory harness was. And I've got room to work. I moved some stuff around. I made a mount for my fuel pressure regulator because it did sit here, which caused this line to run at a pretty aggressive angle. Didn't like that. I figured out a seat situation. I think I'm gonna run these over the NRG seats. I might leave this one for the driver's seat for now, just because I kind of like the support it gives you down here, but these do sit a little bit lower and are a bit more comfortable. They've got enough bolstering to hold you in place, and I should be able to run my belts with them. These are out of a Camaro, I think. I don't know, I had them sitting around, but I dig it, I like it. Moving on, I got the plate mounted finally underneath my dashboard. Let me get a light. So as you guys can see there, that's mounted. I'm going to kind of wire this thing in today as well, along with the switch panel that I stole from my buddy Nick. Kind of figure out the dash situation a little bit, but otherwise, I'm gonna split this thing open and look to see how fucked we are. Alright, so we are all pulled down. So doesn't look too bad actually. There are some rough spots to it. I hate seeing butt connectors on a wiring harness. Some of them were me, regrettably. Some of them definitely weren't me. And there's some less than desirable soldering and repairs done to this harness over the 30 years of its life. So I just need to find a pinout for the factory ECU so I could start pulling off the sensors from this harness that I need, and I'm probably just going to clip them here and then again use the little ECU Masters provided bulkheads for the ECU, so I don't have to worry about any of this crap. These are kind of falling apart anyway, so let me find that pinout. Got to jump on the computer real quick, do a little bit of digging. I thought I had one saved, but I guess I don't, so I'm gonna find another one real quick, and then we can start consolidating that harness down to what we need. Get all of the sensors pretty much ran in my own little harness back through this hole here, and then run it through the inside, the extension harness that will then go to the ECU. Should be pretty clear cut, clean cut, straightforward, easy to do. Yeah, I wish. It's gonna be a pain in the ass, so I'm gonna struggle with this for a bit. Let me find this wiring pin out, and then we'll get to work. Fuck. Okay, this is fairly simple, but bear with me. So this is my pinout here. As you can see, I've got all the different identifiers up here, and then the pinout is actually down here. Now, I need to find the sensors on this list that are also on this list. This is everything that I need for my custom harness. Now, find the things that are on this list. I'm going to consolidate them by bunching the wires together, running a tie around it, and labeling it. You know, so for this one, I believe it is this pin, this pin, this pin, and that pin. You can't really see what I'm pointing at, but like right in the middle of the square down, two over, and then one down are cam position sensors. So those are gonna get snipped, grouped together, and then we're gonna label it. And then same for the injectors, throttle position, idle air, O2, all that kind of stuff. Consolidate what we need, pull it out of this harness, individually lay them out. So we have each individual harness for each individual sensor and connector. Once we have that down, we can kind of lay them out over the engine bay and figure out how we're gonna route everything, how everything's gonna plug in. I moved my injector igniter back here just to kind of clear up some space around here. I kind of like it back there a little bit more anyway, because the way the harness is gonna sit. I'm going to do some other things real quick while Mike kind of consolidates some of this harness up. And once we get this all pulled apart and figured out, we will return here. But I have some little things to do. There's some stuff on the inside. I want to get to work on the seat brackets, and Mike and I are going to kind of work on the harness together as he goes. But since only really one person can hang out over this harness at a time, we're going to have Mike kind of sit down, consolidate everything here, and then I'm going to hit back on the books, do a little bit more reading there, and I do need to hop online and get some stuff on order, so I'm going to leave you guys with Mike for a little bit while he does that, and then we will hop into laying everything out. Once we have everything kind of fed through the firewall, then we can pin it into the ECU, get the dang thing mounted, and move on. After that, smack this stuff on, and we'll just go from there when we get there. All right, so this is how I'm gonna start this. Here's my switch panel. Here's my fuse board, relay board, central pub of wiring thing. Basically, I need to get power to this switchboard in order for it to have any function. So my first thing is going to set up a ground and a power for that. Now this whole thing here should be powered once I plug a battery in. So I'm going to utilize this second little post here, run it through the hole next to it, around the board, to power my switch panel here, and then find a ground for this. That should give this thing power. Every single one of these switches is fused up here as well, and then we can run power from here to back to our relays to power whatever we're going to do. Today my goal is to get the fuel pump set up, to get switch power for my ECU set up, and then to get whatever little other odds and ends kind of wired in that I need to. Those are going to be the two main ones today, so it shouldn't be very taxing. Pretty easy to get those wired in. I can't think of anything else that I really need to wire in until I get a little bit farther with the other harness. But let's get the basics out of the way, get ourselves switch power, and get ourselves some fuel. Then these three switches are as labeled: fans, lights, and wiper. Since I still have the original linkage and wiper and everything still attached to the vehicle, I am going to utilize having a wiper on this in case I ever decide I want to drive it in the rain. Since I'm not a Targa, I won't get wet. Little Mark III joke there for you. But let's get to work wiring this in. I'm going to run a couple wires and I'm going to show you where I get to. As you can see, I got my power running from there. My ground attaches up here. So we have power to our switch panel now. So we're gonna go check out and see how far Mike got in the time that it took me to do this. So now it's pretty easy. I just got to wire from here to a relay for a signal, and then have the relay have a power, a ground, and then that will go to my ECU, and then my switch will just run the relay, and I'll run my main relay off of here or off of the other switch panel that I have over there. Let's check up with Mike real quick. I'm kind of curious to see how far he got. I was under there for a little bit because I was fighting some weird wiring gremlins out on the switch panel that I'm working off. Tight.
Yeah, not really.
Getting some consolidating done.
I have to remove this jacket the whole way, just so I can see which wire is which. So I'll be here for another 5 minutes just peeling this so I can figure out what wire does what.
Fair enough. Well, we're chugging away here. I'm going to finish up with this little wiring thing that I got going on under here with the switch panel. Pretty much done with it. I just have to like tidy it up and then decide where I want to go next. But the switch panel is in place, looking pretty good right there actually. Pretty stoked with that. So we will move on to switch power and then fuel pump wiring harness. She's back there. Should be fun. I probably smell like ass. Good news. Got this relay box back in. So now I have fuel pump, ECU. Both these switches are wired in. I have both of the leads just kind of hanging out back there. One will go here to the ECU. One will go all the way back to the fuel pump. So that'll be really easy to do from here. It's literally one wire to where I need it to go. It's already fused. Fuses are in place. As you can see there, I've got everything I need in order. Now I need to literally just run one more power line to each source. So then this is for ECU and fuel pump, which again, really easy. So that's checked off the list, done. We can move back over here. Mike is still working diligently over here to knock this stuff out. It looks like he's gotten pretty far too. Most of this is all torn apart down to where we need it. So he's just getting sensors labeled and everything, and then we will be good to go to start kind of laying this out over the engine bay.
Which I've already started doing. The connectors that are unplugged from the harness are in their respective locations.
Oh, look at that. Yep. Okay, so nice. Well, needless to say, we got more work cut out ahead of us, but we're gonna finish getting all of this stuff put together. This for my ignition coils. If I decide to run the factory ones, I want this harness. And then I need to do, this one is going to be for fuel injectors, like I said before. So as soon as we get done with doing what we're doing here, we can come up with our final design for how we want the harness to lay and how we want the engine harness, or the body harness to lay and whatnot. And then we can kind of start doing stuff like windows, turn signals, headlights, tail lights, brake lights. That stuff's easy. That's what that other relay block is for, that second one that you see. I got the one up here and then another one down here. This one is for engine. The other one is body harness. So consolidated those back there. Probably will end up being a little bit of a jumble of mess of wires underneath my dash, but that's why I cleared out all that space under there so that it would be easier to work around. And I finally went out and got all the different color wiring and everything so that I won't just have a million red wires running everywhere like I did originally when I first made the harness for the NA version of this car. So, you know, you'll learn over time to get what you need beforehand and have it at the ready. You know, I've got all types of different colors for wiring and stuff like that. So, got a green one. So, should have everything to make any custom harnesses that we need to, because there are going to be a few here. Like I don't have an ethanol content sensor obviously from the factory harness, so that's something I have to wire in. Air temp and map sensor is another thing that this didn't have factory. It was a MAF sensor driven car. Now we are going to speed density, so that's going to have its own custom harness, but that's super easy. 2 little sensors, no worries at all.